Ladies and gentlemen, it's the show you all love. It's my boy LG with Cleveland Sports 360 every Monday here from 6 to 7. And now with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, it's the host you love, LG.
Hey, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. It's good to be back in the clevelandsports.com, clevelandtalksports.com studio. Hey, it's not such a beautiful night here in Cleveland. It's raining like crazy. The weather's changing. We got a cold front coming through, but we always warm things up and get you in a heated mood here on the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Obviously, this last week, we've had quite a bit of developments coming out of Penn State. The Browns lost again yesterday. That makes it 3 in a row for the Cleveland team. But let me tell you, the weather's changing here. For you loyal viewers out there that watch the Cleveland Sports 360 show often, you may have remembered a few months back or a month and a half or so back, we had Al Raditz on our show, and Al was sporting a mission. It's called the Subzero mission. Ladies and gentlemen, Al started on October 1st collecting blankets, sleeping bags, everything to keep the homeless warm here in the Cleveland area. The Subzero mission is it's for the prevention of deaths related to freezing and injuries caused by prolonged cold exposure. Nobody should freeze to death in America. So right now, from October 1st to October 18th at 12 p.m., that's it. At the 18th of this month at 12 p.m., Al's going to be done collecting. If you guys have anything out there you would like to donate to Al's Subzero mission, you can get a hold of Al at 440-254-0609, or you can take it to the VFW Post 7939. That's located at 12827 Painesville Warren Road in Leroy, Ohio. Again, that number to call Al for a pickup, 440-254-0609. Don't let the homeless people freeze to death in America, folks. If you have warm blankets, sleeping bags, anything you'd like to donate, old jackets, whatever, get a hold of Al. Help him out with the Subzero mission. Al's a former Marine. He protected your freedom. Help him protect the homeless from freezing to death. Hey, many of you people saw yesterday it was a disgusting loss for the Cleveland Browns. People want to point fingers. Is it Pat Shurmur? Is it Colt McCoy? Is it what I say is it's an entire team that's losing these games. Unfortunately, Pat Shurmur's at the helm of this team. He's making some bad play calls. When you complete a 52-yard bomb to Greg Little, you get inside the 10-yard line and you have Peyton Hillis, who's going to miss this Sunday's game once again with a hamstring injury. Kenyon, how the hell long does it take for a hamstring to heal, man?
I don't know, man. What's crazy? He hasn't played in so long. I can't remember the last time he played this season.
Well, let's face it. We're 9 games into the year. Peyton Hillis has 211 rushing yards. That's really going to help him in renegotiating his contract, man. I think they should give him a pay deduction, not a pay increase. But, ladies and gentlemen, the Cleveland Browns on offense are 29th in the league in scoring. That's out of 32 teams. They're 30th in the league in touchdowns. They're 24th in passing. Now, that passing is a padded number because McCoy had 5.7-yard passing average for much of the season, man. So, you can look at that. They're 30th in the league in rushing, while Peyton Hillis is sitting there with strep throat, a sore hamstring, missing all these Cleveland Browns games. The Browns fell to 30th in rushing. Now, let's talk about the defense. Tell me how you can justify Heckard going after Phil Taylor as the number 1 draft pick for the Cleveland Browns. We're number 1 in pass defense. That's even after yesterday. The Cleveland Browns are the number 1 ranked pass defense in the entire NFL, and we're 30th in the rush defense. Now, what the hell is Phil Taylor doing, Kenyon?
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to have his back a little bit. Taylor and Sherrod are doing their thing. They're rookies. They're doing the best they can to get that pass rush to clog up that middle. But at the same time, if you were depending on rookies to come in and stop this run, it's a long way to go to learn that defensive line and that 4-3 defense.
Kenyon, the only 2 teams in the league worse are the Colts and the Rams at stopping the run. I mean, the Rams, for Christ's sake. We had the Rams here yesterday, and we lost 13-12 to the Rams, man. A team that Pat Shurmur should have knew couldn't stop the run. You know, and you got Bradford for the, you know, one of the reasons I believe Holmgren was high on Shurmur to bring him into Cleveland, his development of the young quarterback. What he did with Bradford, I mean, God, this guy sucks, man. And now you got Colt McCoy. Colt McCoy is not even allowed to audible when you're inside the 10-yard line, and then Shurmur calls 3 running plays right up the middle, and the ball goes nowhere, man. He doesn't even let Colt McCoy have the ability to call an audible, man. I mean, come on.
And that's what's bad, because I just knew Colt McCoy would have done that yesterday. 9 consecutive runs up the middle. It just was embarrassing. I'm not going to blame Colt McCoy, LG, for that
It's
loss.
not Colt McCoy's fault.
The players actually played a hell of a game, but when you're going against a dumbass coach in Shurmur, the dumbass plays, like I said earlier, man, the only thing I can think of is they're playing to lose.
Well, you know, you don't think this is a backdoor way into the suck for luck contest, do you, man?
It definitely is. That's the only thing I can think of, man. I cannot think of anything else. Those plays, an elementary school student would have known not to hand off to a third-string fullback that has pretty much never, and I mean ever, he's never taken the ball in the backfield in his entire career.
Well, I'll tell you one thing's for sure, man. We got 2 big tight ends in Evan Moore and Ben Watson, man. We're inside the 10-yard line. Colt McCoy could have easily hit one of these big men for a pass. I mean, why not roll McCoy out and let him try to sneak into the end zone? I don't know what the hell Shurmur's thinking these days. But when you tell me we got a #1 draft pick on the defensive line and we're 30th at the run, and even though he's a rookie, he's a big man. You got to get in there. You got to plug the holes. There's no excuse. I don't believe there's an excuse for the Cleveland Browns to be 30th in the rush. I mean, that just totally sucks. Hey, for all you people out there that saw the show the last few weeks, you notice we were taking a closer look at Mitch Mortaza's Lingerie Football League. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, we had the beautiful Kelly LeBeau here last week. You saw her knee was all disenchanted with the torn ACL. She had a torn meniscus and some cartilage damage in her leg. Again, it was another case where the Lingerie Football League did not take care of their players who suffered an injury. A few weeks ago, we were lucky to have Natasha Lindsay on. She suffered the same type of injury. Ladies and gentlemen, last year we had a player in the Lingerie Football League go by the name of Deborah Poles. Deborah Poles happened to be one of the best defensive players in all of the Lingerie Football League. That's all 12 teams. She was the #1 defensive player and the team MVP from the Chicago Bliss. Again, Mortaza, the dictator of the LFL, chose to mistreat these women and just took Deborah Poles and really ripped her heart right out of her body. And I believe we're going to have Deborah Poles joining us live right here on the Cleveland Sports 360 show to give us a little more light on how Mitch Mortaza treats his star players in the Lingerie Football League. Deborah, you with us?
I'm here. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Deborah. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's my pleasure. You know, you're a gorgeous lady. We're so glad that you took the time out of your busy schedule to join us here and shed a little bit of light on the way Mortaza runs the Lingerie Football League. Hey, give us a little insight. What were your responsibilities on the Chicago Bliss team? You were one of Kelly LeBeau's teammates, were you?
I was.
So you also were the Defensive Player of the Year last year, right?
I was, yes.
Well, give us.
I played both offense and defense.
Oh, so you went. You played both sides of the ball. So you were pretty much in there for the entire game.
Yeah, I was responsible for every down of every game I was on the field. So it was quite a lot of work on my end.
Now, I don't know if you know, we had a player on our team in the Cleveland Crush by the name of what was that? Amber Barrick, I think was her name, and she was here a couple of times, and she never played a down in football, but she was like the team's leading ticket seller. Did you have to go out and sell tickets for the LFL?
Yeah, basically the way it works is I played actually for 2 seasons, so the first 2 seasons of the league, and the girls are not only responsible for going to practice, 2 to 3 times a week, but we're also responsible for marketing and selling tickets for the games. Our compensation was done off of the games, the tickets that were sold. So it was, there was no other marketing that was done. Mitch kind of believed that the name would just bring people out, but there was no recognition for the league that much, because the first year we weren't even on TV. So we were responsible for, doing the marketing and selling the tickets and all kinds of stuff.
So you literally had to go into different establishments. Like if Mitch Mortaza, what would he do? Would he call you guys on the phone and say, hey, look, we got to get out there and sell? How did that work? Did he say you got to get out there and hustle these tickets? I mean, give us a little insight how he runs this.
There were basically like conference calls that we would have quite a bit, and it was, his sister Marion that worked for him at the time would call us, and we'd have to give her reports on what sort of promos we're doing and that kind of stuff. It's just that I do sales for a living, and their kind of sales strategy for us didn't make sense. They wanted us to charge $3,000 for an appearance. Like, we can't charge $3,000 for an appearance when no one knows who we are. I remember when the earthquake happened in Haiti, the Red Cross and a club was having this charity benefit and wanted us to do an appearance, and the league wanted to charge them for an appearance for just to show up for the Red Cross. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Now, when you did an appearance, let's just suppose, and I know you never got the $3,000, but let's just suppose somebody said, okay, we're going to give Deborah Poles $3,000 to come into our place and make an appearance. Will you be able to keep that money yourself?
No, they wanted the checks made out to the league. So the way the Chicago team worked, now the Chicago team had the most attendance. So our last game last season was 5,500 people. So we were doing more than the WNBA and some of like the middle level sports, even the soccer games. So we had a really, really good turnout, but the way we did it was we charged the venues tickets, and we worked with the, arena to get group discounts set up, and we would just charge the venue like 25, 50 tickets, for us to host a Monday Night Football. They bought the tickets, we benefited from it, and then we went directly to the players and not to the league.
Okay, so not only were you a player who played both defense and offense, you were the MVP of the league defensively, the Defensive Player of the Year. How did Mitch Mortaza treat you?
Mitch and I never really got along from the beginning because of the contract issues. Now, I've sent you a copy of the contract, and you can see how ridiculous it is. But Mitch doesn't like anyone who knows what they're talking about. I think a lot of people think because league is filled with a bunch of bimbos running around, and, that's really not the case at all. A lot of us are, well-educated, we have jobs, we can read a contract, and anyone who can read a contract and pushes back a little bit on Mitch, is just kind of in his, on his bad side. I remember one time during a game last year, we were playing San Diego, and we were up like 20-something points at halftime. During the walkthrough prior to the game, Mitch was to the point where he was making our quarterback, she was starting to cry. And it was something so stupid as like, oh, this is how you spike a ball to kill the clock. Knowing full well that Mitch has never played football in his life. So the fact that he's trying to go through this whole deal of this is how you kill a clock, this is what looks best on TV, all that kind of stuff was ridiculous. No one's paying attention to that. You spike the ball, clock's done. And it was getting to the point where our quarterback was getting so frustrated he was about to cry. And I said, you know what? You're fine. You've done this a million times. And, Mitch looked at me and said, shut the fuck up, Deborah, until I make you a fucking coach. Shut your fucking mouth. In front of the San Diego team as well as the Chicago team. And then at halftime of that game, he went to my coaches and basically said, Deborah Poles is benched for the second half of the game.
Just because you voiced your opinion?
If you bench Deborah, then the whole team is going to stay in the locker room, and you can explain why we're not playing.
Wow.
I mean, it's stupid stuff like that that doesn't make sense. And he was benching me for lack of excessive celebration when I think at that point I had scored 2 or 3 touchdowns and, done the Lambeau leap into the stands every single time.
Which is really good for Chicago. I mean, you're close to Wisconsin. I mean, that leap was made famous up there. Good thing we're on internet radio. Otherwise, we'd be getting beeped right now. So, Deborah, Not only did you get disrespected by Mitch, but that seems to be the constant I hear from so many players in the LFL, the disrespect, the lack of appreciation he has towards the women that play for him. Is that a common thing?
I mean, it's a very common thing. I have never been spoken to with so much disrespect or disdain or just lack of just general, it's almost like a hatred. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Mitch hated women. Like, that's the way he speaks to women, the way he does these contracts. You know, at one point he came into our locker room the first year and said we needed to sell more tickets because he needed to pay the mortgage on his Hollywood Hills home.
He said that?
Like, you know, he said that word for word when he came in. He needs to pay the mortgage on his Hollywood Hills home.
Well, what happens to the teams that didn't have the success selling tickets that you ladies had in Chicago? Where are those teams now?
I mean, he dissolved them.
He just, if you don't sell enough tickets, that's it? That's it? You don't have a team?
I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago was dissolved after the season.
Why is Chicago?
You know, because they switched venues, and I went to that second home game that they had. There were less than 1,000 people there. I would say there were less than 700 people at that game. And, you know, it goes to the stupidity that he is. You have an established fan base at a venue where all you have to do is put the game schedule on the marquee and you're going to have people come. And then you switch the venue to like 50-plus miles south of where the previous venue was, and then you don't market it.
So therefore, when he tells you ladies you got to go out there and sell tickets to a game, if you're not successful at selling tickets to a game, what you're telling me is that's it. He's going to dissolve that football team.
The New York team got dissolved. The Dallas team got dissolved. I believe did the Miami team get dissolved?
Yeah, I believe you're right about that too. Yeah, Miami's definitely gone.
So, I mean, we were supposed to play a game in New York, and they hadn't sold any tickets the first year, and so they canceled our game.
So this is a guy
he just thinks that the saying you got a lingerie football league that is going to bring people out, and that's not the case because people don't know exactly what it is. They think it's maybe powder puff. You know, they're going to kind of put it something linked to like some roller derby type stuff. They don't know exactly what it is. And for the first 2 years, they had very legitimate football. I've seen very few games this year that would make me, even as a football fan, stay on and watch.
Isn't that a lot of the problem? Isn't that a lot of the problem why MTV is no longer showing the live football games? What is your take on that?
My take on that is that the quality of football was so poor that, you know, they just decided, look, let's do what we did the first year. We'll record the game, and then we'll edit it to make it look like some sort of rock star game.
Wow.
And so the reason they went to the live games anyway was because the first live game we ever played was last year during the playoffs in Jacksonville. And it got such great reviews that they were like, well, let's have all the games live. But what they forgot is that you were looking at 4 teams that had really great coaching and really good players. And it was good football, legitimate football. And this year it's just not the case because the quality of players has gone down. The quality of coaching has gone down, and, you know, the quality of girls that they have out there has gone down significantly. All the athletes, the majority, I don't want to say all the athletes. They still have some athletes out there, and I don't want to, you know, do a disservice to the girls that are still playing, but, you know, these changes forced all the girls out.
How about this, Deborah? Could you stay on the phone for like 1 minute and 30 seconds? We go to commercial break. We come back. I'd like to touch on this Tasha the Tank Pryor with you. You know, we have some pictures in the studio here we put on the internet. Your picture was showing. Is that okay if we put you on hold or, you know, just stick around for 1 minute and 30?
Sure, no problem.
And we'll be right back. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, like I've told you before, you never know when a rainy day is going to come into your life. You got to put away some money for a rainy day. You know, Vicki Manarino's standing by over at Raymond James. She's a very nice lady. Help you put a portfolio together for yourself. Put a savings plan. Not only that, if you want to start buying or trading stocks, Vicki Manarino's the person you need to talk to. She's a full-service broker as well as an excellent financial planner. Give Vicki Manarino a call at 440-516-7550 or toll-free 888-289-7550. I told you last week, if you need a lawyer, call my lawyer, Lawrence Hupertz, attorney at law. You can get to reach Larry Hupertz at 216-378-2130, or you can catch him on his cell phone, 216-789-2092. Whatever your legal problem is, Larry Hupertz is the man you want to get a hold of. He's a great guy. He'll sit down and talk to you. He'll get you through it. We're going to be right back with more of Deborah Poles, former Chicago Bliss star MVP of the Lingerie Football League, in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. On the phone live from Chicago, we are very fortunate to have Deborah Poles with us tonight. She was the Lingerie Football League's most valuable player, defensive player of the year last year for the Chicago Bliss, former teammate of the beautiful Kelly LeBeau that you saw here last week with the messed up knee. We're just digging a little bit deeper into this Lingerie Football League and how this Mitch Mortaza treats the ladies within the league. Deborah, you still with us?
I'm still here.
Oh, thank you so much for holding on. Hey, tell us, how did you get your career ended with this? I know he was disrespectful. He didn't talk to you very nicely. That seems to be the pattern this guy takes. What was your demise? What led you not to be playing again?
Well, you know, the whole idea that they were not going to play or pay the players, Mitch called me, I believe, in March and offered me the marketing position for the team, basically where I would be paid $1 to $2 for any consignment tickets that I sold, because, I had set up accounts with the fire department, police department, various, social sports clubs, and, I did a lot of the marketing for the team along with, quite a few of the other players, and I said, sure, why not? And then we got talking about the topic of not paying the players. And he basically said, he's doing this policy to get rid of the girls that are in it for the money. And I said, Mitch, you don't pay anybody in this league enough to say anybody is doing it for the money. And, he said, well, Chicago and L.A. have the biggest market, so if that's not enough for you, then you're the exact type of player that I want, out of this league. And I was like, okay, the checks that you give us, no one could even live off of these things. So I don't even know how you're claiming that there's girls that are in it for the money. There was girls from the San Diego team that were getting checks for $39 for a game.
Why do
the amount of time that you practice and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't make sense. And, I just said that I just thought that was ridiculous, and from that point, he went off and on one of his little tangents and told me I was toxic, and he wanted me off the league a long time ago, and he's done all these things to, be nice to me, and I'm just a bitch, and all this kind of stuff. So
he told you were what? Top
he
big?
He called me a bitch before.
Oh yeah, but what was the thing you just said? Was it top big?
He said I was toxic. I was toxic in the league to him.
Toxic. Okay. Because at one time, I believe, through a conversation you and I had, he was also saying you were too muscular. Is that correct?
Yeah. So he actually sent me an email at the end in, I believe, February or March, and said that I was too muscular this year, which is opposite of the first year when they said I was too fat, and they used to make me, take pictures front and back before they would buy my ticket to travel. But, they said at the end of the year last year that I had gotten too muscular, and if I wanted to play this year, I needed to work on breaking down my muscle by only doing cardio. And I will say this, I was playing two of the most physical positions. So I was playing offensive line / tight end. So all I was doing was blocking and then playing middle linebacker. So I have not lifted weights in 3 years. All of the muscle tone and everything was just from practice alone. You're practicing 9+ hours a week of football. If your body doesn't change, then there's something wrong with you. And that's the whole idea about him not really wanting athletes in the game at the end of the day. He wants, a certain skinny, blonde hair, white model chick that, that's his whole idea of beauty. And so he doesn't want the girls that look like athletes, and therefore all the girls that look like athletes are leaving.
Well, that's pretty bizarre, seeing how it was Mortaza himself that came out after the Toronto 20 left the Toronto team and said that these were not athletic women, that these people weren't athletes, and that he wanted the top athletes only to perform in the Lingerie Football League. Have you ever heard that statement come out of his mouth?
I've heard it millions of times before, but at the end of the day, like those girls at Toronto, how can you say that they're not athletes when what they're asking for is proper coaching and proper equipment? You're not playing. As women, we don't grow up playing tackle football. So you have to be taught proper technique in order to not get injured. And you have a serious risk of running into a major injury. And I honestly feel that all it's going to take for this league to crumble and, for him to change is some girl to go head first into a tackle, slow down, not going full speed and committing the tackle, and get seriously injured. And I'm not talking torn ACL, torn Achilles. I'm talking full-blown serious injury. You're in a hockey helmet that has barely any padding in the inside.
That's one of my biggest fears.
And you're playing on AstroTurf that isn't even quality AstroTurf, and a lot of times it's a skinny pad and hard concrete underneath.
Unbelievable. Hey, let me ask you another question. You played on the same team as Tasha the Tank Pryor, right? We have a picture.
For 2 years.
2 years you played with Tasha. She was a big star, right? I mean, Kenyon, we have a picture of Tasha, right? We're putting it on the screen now for the viewers. This looks like a fairly decent athlete. Not decent. I mean, decent is an understatement. Deborah, both of you ladies look like fine-tuned athletes. I heard all kinds of rumors and stories that Tasha the Tank Pryor was accused of being fat and everything else. And I hate to think that Mitch Mortaza may be prejudicial towards the black African-American players in the Lingerie Football League, but I read some emails you forwarded on to me that Tasha was going on about nowhere do they ever display the black athletes in the LFL. Shed some light. What was Tasha's situation with the Lingerie Football League?
Tasha's situation, I'll give you a background on Tasha. Tasha was the running back for Chicago for 2 years. She was amazing. She was an awesome running back. She, plowed over girls left and right. She did a great job. And she was like the best known player probably in the entire league because they had the name for her and all that kind of stuff. The issue is that the letter that I sent, I don't know if you've posted that for your fans to check out, but the letter that I sent to you basically saying that when he's getting rid of the compensation policy for the girls, you're no longer mandated to go to practice or do promos. Well, what ended up happening last year is that he was releasing girls for not showing up to practice and not doing promos, which was Tasha's position. That if I'm not getting paid for any of this and I'm spending time doing all this practice, I'm not going to put extra time trying to market and promote this team when I'm not getting anything out of it. Because basically you're marketing and promoting the team to put more money in Mitch's pockets and the coaches, because all the coaches are being paid. So the coaches are being paid. Everybody's getting paid except for the players. Everybody's getting paid.
Still to this day?
So, Tasha's position was like, I'm not going to do those promos. And so then, he suspended her for a game, and she basically said, like, F you, pay me. And she quit.
Okay, so Tasha quit. It wasn't a thing where she was being verbally abused by Mitch Mortaza.
Oh, Mitch has said so many things to Tasha. I remember the first year there was Tasha and there's another girl on our team, and he used to have them put on their bottoms for the uniform before the game and go run up and down the field to see if their legs shook enough. Like if they looked too fat in their uniform when they were running. And as far as the marketing materials go, Mitch, I don't want to go as far as saying Mitch is like prejudiced, but Mitch's idea of beauty is that L.A. blonde Lindsay Lohan look, or whatever you want to call it. And that's all he uses for marketing. The calendar that he had for 2011, 2012 or whatever has not one girl of color, not one Latina, not one black girl, or if they are, you can't tell. They all look the same. And they're all filled with majority of players that have never seen a down on the field.
Wow. So, you know, this is 2011, okay? Everywhere you look, there's great black athletes in every sport, basketball, football, baseball. You know, obviously there's some great black athletes in lingerie football, and you're telling me there's not one black athlete in the lingerie football calendar. That's what you're saying?
Not one. And just to add to that, no, our playoffs for Jacksonville last year, there were 4 teams. It was Philly, Tampa, Chicago, and L.A. who had we all had a significant number of black players that were starters that played the entire game. You know, Zafora Chase from L.A., I'm thinking of one of them, and she's absolutely beautiful. There was Mary Rose from Philadelphia, like their quarterback. She was amazing. I played, Tasha played, you know, Nikki Lee played. These are all girls that are, you know, not only athletes, but they model as well. And for the pictures, they took 3 players from each team and put them on the board that lined the wall for the arena, the indoor arena. And it was 3 white girls from each team. That was it.
So no black player was on display on these boards at all either.
Not one.
I find that interesting.
The marketing team. I think Tasha had about a 1-inch image of herself running with the helmet on, but you could really tell each way on the flyer for the games. But there's never any marketing for the girls. I mean, there's not. He picks what he wants. It's that very L.A. Hollywood look. And, you know, that's what he gets. And the reason you're going to probably see more injuries coming on is because he's going for non-athletic type women. And, you know, you put non-athletic women in an athletic sport where, you know, you either got to commit to ball to the wall, hit somebody, or you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to have more injuries.
You know, let me ask you.
I was fortunate not to get hurt. I just had a staph infection on my knee from a turf burn, and I caught it before it got too bad. But, you know, I just think one of the reasons is that a lot of the girls on the team that never got injured were in excellent shape.
Well, you were always looking good when I saw your pictures. You definitely looked like you were in great shape to play football. But let me ask you one other question that eludes me, because I've talked to a lot of people in different cities, and they say that these venues, you just brought up that the Chicago venue changed. Why is it that Mitch Mortaza is always changing the venues that he plays these lingerie football games in? Do you have any information that you could share with us tonight?
I was told that he was kicked out of Sears Center. They told him that they didn't want him back. I don't know necessarily why. We were actually doing a pretty good amount of money there, and I don't know what the exact reasons are, but I know that Mitch is hard to work with. He wants everything for free, everything comped, all that kind of stuff. So I don't necessarily know why, but there was no reason for him to change that venue. And I believe Mitch burns bridges. He does. He's a liar. He's a cheater. He's a thief. And, you know, there's not much else to say that I'm going to, you know, make an assumption that a lot of the reasons why he's changing the venues is because he couldn't keep the relationships with them.
Wow. Hey, can you stay with us another minute and 30 seconds, or do you have to go? You can do it one more time?
I got it one more time for you.
Okay, thank you so much. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take another quick break. On the phone, live from Chicago, Deborah Poles, one of the best players to ever step foot on Mitch Mortaza's lingerie football arena floor, and you can see how he treated her, along with Tasha the Tank Pryor, one of the bigger-than-life players that ever played lingerie football for Mitch Mortaza. Again, if you guys need legal help out there, whether you want to make your last will and testament, or you need to do a real estate transaction. Maybe you got a DUI, God forbid, don't drink and drive. Get a hold of Larry Hupertz. He's a great lawyer. He'll help you out. Again, if you haven't put a savings plan together yet, you want to trade some stocks, give Vicky Manarino a call at Raymond James, 440-516-7550. Toll free, 888-289-7550. We're going to be right back. We're taking a short break. The Cleveland Sports 360 show. We'll be right back in a minute and 30 with Deborah Poles from Chicago, live on the telephone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. It takes place every Monday night right here in the ClevelandTalkSports.com studio, live from the West Bank of the Flats. On the phone lines with us, we have the beautiful Deborah Poles, former lingerie football player. If you're just joining the show now, you may not have heard how Mitch Mortaza makes these ladies go out and sell tickets. He does no promotion through the games. If you don't sell the tickets and you don't get enough attendance for a game, he's going to get rid of the team. He disrespects the ladies. He vulgar languages. I mean, you know, he uses all kinds of profanities to the ladies. He's never played a down of football in his life. He threw Deborah Poles out of her position on a lingerie football team simply because she was too muscular, was his excuse. Tasha the Tank Pryor, who you just heard Deborah talking about before we went to the last break. And you also heard why Mitch Mortaza always has to change venues. He can't go back to the same venue 2 years in a row, it seems, in most of these major metropolitan areas he does business. Deborah, you still with us?
I'm still here. You know, I just wanted to make a point real quick because I know a lot of the stuff about the league just sounds really, really horrible. And, you know, a lot of people think, okay, well, why are these girls still playing if this is going on? And I would just say that the 2 years that I played were and I've played a lot of team sports, were the most fun I have ever had with teams, coaches. Regardless, I've been playing some sort of organized football recreational for probably like 12, 15 years, but never had the opportunity to play tackle. And I think a lot of the girls play because the team aspect of it is so great and so much fun. It's just when Mitch comes in and basically like craps all over everything that the girls don't want to leave. And by the time that happens, it's usually right before the season starts or right before you play. You know, we've practiced for months and months and didn't get a contract until right before the game started. And at that point, you don't want to quit because of your team. So, you know, I didn't go out to play the second year. I didn't go out to the open tryouts. I didn't go out to any of that stuff. But I got a call from my former teammates that were playing and asked me to come out and play. I came out, and last year we had the best coaches I would say hands down the whole league. They were amazing. They were straight out of the NFL. They ran our practices just like they were practicing in the league, just like their practices. And I probably learned more about football in one season with them than I have in my whole 31 years.
Let me tell you something. My main man on the wheels of steel back here, during the last break, I gave him Mitch Mortaza's cell phone number. He just talked to Mitch. Kenya, we try to get Mitch on the show to tell his side. What was the end result there?
This is what we got. I said, Mitch, Kenya, I'm calling you from Cleveland Talk Sports. We've been receiving a lot of your players coming in and pretty much not saying not too many positive things about the league. We want you to get a chance to come on and tell your side of the stories. His words, and I quote, "I have no idea who you are. I appreciate it," and he hung up.
There you go.
I would bet. You know, Mitch is getting sued by numerous players, including the players from the LA team the first year. The purse that was supposed to be paid out for the championship was $100,000 split between 14 players and 2 coaches, and he shorted the girls all about $4 or $5 grand each. He didn't pay it out. So there's like a lawsuit in L.A. County against the league.
Yeah, I read up on that lawsuit a little bit. I knew the L.A. Temptation. Was it the Temptations?
Yeah, it was the Temptation girls.
They filed a lawsuit against Mitch Mortaza in the LFL.
Plus the injuries, you all talked to Natasha and, you know, Kelly's situation. It's really unfortunate that these girls are having to, you know, foot the bill for these injuries. And I thank God every day that I did not get injured, and that if I did, I had, you know, my own private insurance. I could have taken care of it, but a lot of these girls don't. I think I was one of the oldest girls in the league and have had a corporate job for the last 9 years, so I kind of lucked out on that end. But a lot of the girls are young. They're 22. They're straight out of college. You know, they don't have jobs like that, so.
Hey, you know what, Deborah? I really appreciate you taking the time out of your life to share this with us. You know, this is just incredible. A guy doesn't put anything back into this. Where is the money going? I mean, come on, there has to be some kind of money he made.
I mean, the Business Weekly article from last year said it was, you know, one of the rarities to have women's sports that's actually growing. I think they said there was like a 218% profit margin from last year over the year before. And it's going to Mitch. I mean, I'm sure he has some debt from the first year and whatnot, but at the end of the day, last year he was deducting the $10,000 stadium rental fee out of our checks, which he didn't do the first year. So the girls are basically covering the cost. And, you know, he always says, oh, well, there's another women's football league, and they have to pay for everything, and, you know, we pay for travel and hotel and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? The other league doesn't have a TV contract. The other league doesn't have sponsorships. The other league has maybe 50 or 100 people at the games, and majority of them, it's the family members of the players. So at the end of the day, don't compare us to another league that has no TV contract. We're not stupid here. You can say what you want all the time, but the fact that MTV bought every single game live, bought the playoff games, and bought the championship game to compete with NBC's halftime Super Bowl, it's just, I mean, you're making the TV money off it alone is just going to the league.
Unbelievable. You know, it's just, I can't believe how he exploits women. It's almost like a pimp, you know, and he gets these women, and I don't understand why women, I mean, at least you guys are smart enough to distance yourself, you and the Tank. And I would really love to talk to the Tank sometime, Deborah, if you can.
Yeah, no, I'll see if I can get it.
I'm sure Kenyon, too. He'd like to talk to the Tank.
It was a fun opportunity. It was a lot of fun playing, and it's unfortunate what he's doing. And I think the situation that he has now is he has a lot of the girls, and I'm not going to say all of them because I know a lot. There are so athletic girls playing the league that do it just for the love of the game. But at the end of the day, he's got a lot of girls that want to use it as a stepping stone to go somewhere else, and that's all they're using it for. You know, this whole policy, like, what is he doing it for? I know he's not doing it for the love of the game. He's not doing it for the, you know, to push women's sports up. You know, everyone gives it a hard time because it's the lingerie football league. But at the end of the day, if you take lingerie out of the title, we wear more clothes than track and field players. We definitely wear more clothes than beach volleyball players. And there's no reason they need to have the skinny bikinis on that they do. But they're women, and they're using their womanly assets to promote their sport, which is the same thing that they're doing. You take lingerie out of it, and you can do the Women's Football League or whatever. A lot of this controversy about these girls, you know, being bimbos or whatever, being exploited and all that kind of stuff is gone, because it's not like we're out there naked in a thong and, you know, some garter belts. Like, it's not what our uniform is. And so Mitch just doesn't know how to market it, and this whole thing's going to fold. It's going to just fold, and it's unfortunate because it's a lot of fun, but he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well, I just hope, like you said many times in this conversation, that nobody gets seriously injured, you know? Hey, Deborah, I want to thank you so much. We're going to have to...
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate you guys shedding some light on this, because at the end of the day, the girls are really afraid of Mitch, and they want to use this for other opportunities, and you know, it's just unfortunate that he is the asshole that he is. And, you know, it's unfortunate that it's going to take somebody to get really hurt before anything changes. But hopefully the league folds before that happens.
Well, yeah, I really would hate to see anybody get hurt. And, you know, when you talk about some bimbos, I tell you, every girl that I've met, there was one or two bimbos, I have to say that. But most of the girls, I mean, they're class acts. They're right up there. I mean, Kelly was a sweetheart. Natasha, Lindsay, all the girls from Toronto, Canada, yourself, Deborah Poles, you definitely have a great head on your shoulders. And again, thank you so much for taking the time out. And I just want to educate others on what's going on there. Hey, we'll talk to you soon, Deborah. Get that Tasha the Tank. We'll have both of you guys on.
I will.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for calling in, and you have a great night. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take about another minute and 30. And you just heard it. I mean, there's not much more I can say about this Mitch Mortaza. We'll come back in a quick minute 30. We'll wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get in just a little bit into the Penn State. We're going to get into how Mortaza had an Oklahoma disaster here. I have a nice article. I just want to share bits and pieces with you. But again, if you need a great lawyer, get on the phone, call my lawyer, Larry Hupertz. I don't care what it is, your last will and testament, real estate transaction, any kind of a contract you need to go over, DUI, traffic incidents, you name it, personal injuries. Larry Hupertz will be there for you, and he'll help you out, man. You can get the number right off the screen. Call Vicky Manarino for all your investment options. She's a great lady. You want to buy and sell stocks, she's somebody that can certainly take the orders and get them placed for you once you set up a portfolio with Vicky Manarino over at Raymond James. We're going to take a minute 30. We're going to come right back with more of the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Cleveland Sports 360 show. Again, I just called Mitch Mortaza myself to try to get him to come on. Unfortunately, he's not taking our calls. I left him a nice voicemail, told him it was LG with the Cleveland Sports 360 show. We wanted to have him or a representative from the league come on and give us a little bit of their explanation how things work with the LFL. You can't say that Cleveland Sports 360 and ClevelandTalkSports.com isn't an equal opportunity provider. We want to hear both sides of the story. But, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you, all week long, I thought we were going to have Hanford Dixon come down and join the show, man. I talked to Hanford not this past Saturday, but a week ago on Saturday. Last Monday, he had a couple obligations he had to take care of. This week, he told me to call him back on Wednesday, which I did. Obviously, he doesn't want to come on and talk about his role as the head coach of the Cleveland Crush. I don't even understand how that works with Hanford Dixon in the Cleveland Crush. 1 minute, Hanford was supposedly the head coach. The next minute, the guy told Mortaza to get bent or something, wasn't the head coach. We weren't even allowed to discuss it when we had Dave Duncan down here with the beautiful blonde, what was her name? I don't even remember. But they wouldn't even let us talk about Hanford. Huh?
Was it Amber?
Oh, Amber Barrick. That's right. I wasn't going to give her another plug because she's probably out getting plugged somewhere else right now anyways. You know what I mean? She's probably on the phone with Mitch right now telling him about our show, and that's why his line was busy and he couldn't take our call. But I'm definitely sure there's a lady that's never played a down. I talked to some people that
when is this lead over, man? I can't understand the play system. I don't get it. Is it lead over? Is it over? When is the season over for this league?
Hell, from what I'm understanding, it could go on for weeks more because if you notice, these games aren't even every week with one team. Like they might play 4 games in a season, but it may be a month before their next game, you know?
I don't get the lead. I don't get the play system. I mean, I don't know, is the Crush still playing?
I think they have one more game left.
The last attendance from I spoke with someone at the Q, they had less than 900 people that was in attendance. I don't know, man. I don't.
So that was the last home game with the Cleveland Crush at the Q. Less than 900.
Less than 900 people were there.
No wonder he's not paying anybody, man. How do you get a stadium like the Q in an arena in that's got to cost a few bucks?
Yeah, it's got to cost a few bucks to rent out the space. He may want to downgrade, man. Try the Wolfstein Center or something. But first, you need to let people know your product, man. I mean, first of all, you got so many people saying so many negative things about your product, and you don't want to send a representative. It's basically like you're saying, well, who are we? Who are we? Well, we are people with thousands of people right now listening to us. We have one of the top-ranked sports stations in the nation, and you don't want to come on and speak your mind and let us know what your product's about? That says a lot about your character. We've even had people, LG, from the NFL and baseball, from the Browns, from the Indians, all come on here to tell their side. But for some reason, this guy that owns every team in his league don't want to say anything.
Well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you, there's a couple of municipalities throughout the United States. Obviously, they must have heard about Mitch Mortaza's reputation, how he does things. This article came out on the 12th of November, 2010, unfortunately. But I just want to point out something to you. The Oklahoma City's mayor said, no way are they going to let public arena in their city have lingerie football. Here's what Mitch Mortaza's response was to what the mayor had to say about the lingerie football. It's unfortunate that one individual can dictate what an entire city can deem as entertainment or not. Apparently, Mayor Cornett wants to take away the basic freedom of individuals to choose to attend a sporting event or not. Has Mayor Cornett actually been to an LFL game or watched a game on MTV2? My guess is no. He does not understand the LFL football is played by educated former college athletes. We just had a highly educated former college athlete on the air with us with Deborah Poles. Okay? So this guy's telling you the mayor can't understand that these are heavily educated lawyers, teachers, military personnel, etc. Nor does Mayor Cornette understand the revenue. Get this one, Kenyon. The revenue or the jobs the LFL football coming into a town would represent. What the hell kind of jobs are there? The guy doesn't even pay anybody, man.
Doesn't pay anybody.
How about you go to work for free every day, Kenyon?
LG, no, I don't. And the only thing I can say about this is you may say we're biased. I can only say what I'm hearing. I'm hearing one side. No, the other side don't want to say anything, so that tells me everything I need to know.
Well, obviously he doesn't want to come in and answer some questions that we would probably pose to Mr. Mortaza. I'm certainly not trying to be biased here. We've given him ample opportunities. Every time his lawyer sent us a letter, I answered back and invited him to use our platform here to do it, you know. But what really kills me is Oklahomians should have be provided the opportunity to choose for themselves and not be dictated to. This is coming from a man that clearly dictates to the ladies of the LFL how they got to look, what they have to wear, where they have to go to sell tickets, and if they don't sell tickets, he disbands the team, where some of these girls have carpooled from hours and hours away, man. But you know what? I'm not going to waste any more time on this show. We got a couple minutes left. I just want to touch on a big scandal coming out of Penn State. You know, it really makes the Ohio State scandal look mild comparison to what's going on in Penn State. A lot of people don't understand why Joe Paterno got fired. You had students rioting. I want to say this, Kenyon. What the hell is America thinking when a grown man, 84 years old, who's the head coach, grooming men to go out into life that doesn't call the police and report, possibly, if he didn't see it, so it's just an alleged rumor at that time, some little kid was being raped in the shower by Jerry Sandusky. And I want to tell you another thing, man. For Americans to take the side of Joe Paterno, because I tell you, for Joe Paterno to go out and hire one of the top-notch criminal lawyers in America, what the hell has he got to be concerned about, man? You know?
Right. This whole thing with Joe Paterno, and now coming out today is saying that these guys were actually, he was prostituting these kids out to the boosters. That's what just came out today, what Sandusky was doing. So this story is going to go long. I'm just hoping, man. I'm not taking Paterno's side in this, but I'm hoping that it doesn't come where he was involved in this also.
You don't know how many. You don't know how many people are hoping the same thing right about now, Kenya. But I want to tell you one other thing that really bothers me. The lady judge that granted Jerry Sandusky unsecured bail, okay? Here's a guy that gets out on 8 counts of possibly child molestation. They went in front of the grand jury, so possibly is even a stretch. It probably really did happen if you have these witnesses. I'm not one to, I can't judge anybody. I don't know what the hell's going on over there. But how can this lady grant him unsecured bail? She was a member or a counselor or something to do with his Second Mile organization. Now, why wouldn't this judge just recuse herself, remove herself from that case? You know what I think's going to have to happen here, Kenyon? I mean, they had a frickin' prosecutor that's been missing since the 90s, man. What happened to that guy?
I got a feeling we won't see Sandusky. If I was him, well, I would never do it, but I wouldn't be surprised after he's done all this, he ends up hurting him on himself before he goes onto that trial, man. And for him not to, here it is, you got drug dealers out here that sold a pound of weed that don't get bail.
Unbelievable, man. And you got a guy raping little boys that gets bail for $100,000 unsecured bail.
Right.
I mean, you know what I would do, Kenyon? I would get the state attorney general involved in this. The governor's not a stupid guy in Pennsylvania. He's got a big problem on his hands. It's a boiling pot right now that's getting ready to pop. You got to get a federal prosecutor in there. This case needs to be taken away from that municipality in Pennsylvania and moved somewhere else where these victims, the victims, can get a fair trial for themselves, man. You hear what I'm saying?
I hear you, brother.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for sticking around for another edition of the Cleveland Sports 360 show. I promise you we're going to get to some, professional sports that do pay their players coming up next week. Hopefully we're going to talk to some Indians players tonight. I'm heading out after this show to go see Mike Hargrove and Bob DiBiasio. I'll try to get Kenyon to go with me if it's raining, because he's got a couple things he needs to take care of. If it's not raining, check a couple fields, make sure they're striped properly for this Saturday's game, right?
You got it, man.
So I'm working on a real interesting story. I don't know if I told you about this yet, Kenyon, but we got a guy that brings together youth football teams. He raises money to pay for severely injured players, man. These guys, 174 different youth football teams came together. They raised $28,000 to help take care of severely injured people. These are little kids, man. These are the kind of people you want mentoring your children, not some pervert running around Penn State locker room banging kids in the shower. I wish they had a gun. Take them out back and shoot them. Hey, I want to thank the sponsors for taking care of the Cleveland Sports 360 show and ClevelandTalkSports.com. Remember, 3 days a week, join my man, Kenyon Johnson, the president and CEO of ClevelandTalkSports.com. Earl Porter, the VP of Sales and Operations, and the beautiful Kenya Huff. Every day from not every day anymore, but Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 3 to 5. You got Fired Up on Thursdays from 2 to 3 with E-Love, Sammy, and Vince. I'm not so about Vince. Maybe he's a little bit funny. I'm not sure. We still got the ballots out on that one. Thursday nights, you got the Courtney G Experience. If you haven't seen Courtney G, you probably haven't had a good laugh with Jay Boogie. Courtney G's a very funny man. Jay Boogie brings a great accent to everything he does. Hey, Sunday afternoons, if you want to watch the game, I know it hasn't been a great game to watch lately with these numbers the Browns are posting. Join us every Sunday afternoon during the football season. Applebee's, 14020 Cedar Road, beautiful University Heights, the home of beautiful homes. We're there from about, I'd say, 11:30 a.m. till well after the game's done. We have our halftime show. We have raffles, giveaways. You want to be a part of it, come to the neighborhood and enjoy some great food at Applebee's, 14020 Cedar Road. If you're looking for a great investment, call Vicky Manarino, 440-516-7550. Sit down with her over at Raymond James. Put yourself a portfolio together, and she'll be glad to help you. Toll free, 888-289-7550. If you need a great lawyer, call Larry Hilperts. He's my attorney. He'll be there for you, whether it's a car accident, a personal injury, real estate transaction, you name it. Larry Hilperts is a great all-around attorney. God bless everybody. Make sure to tune in next week for Cleveland Sports 360 show, 6 p.m. next Monday night.